Continue to kick people out of the broadcast, but no matter how they try, we will continue to send out information. And please, as you're joining, share the broadcast. Share the broadcast. By sharing, you are helping us to stand firm and stand on the broadcast. If you don't share, it's going to be difficult for us to be able to stand on the broadcast, because the social media is not helping us to send the information. They are only trying to suppress us and make sure that we don't speak. But this time is not the time for us to keep silent. It's time for us to talk. We have to talk with every little chance we have, even when the situation is not convenient for us to talk. We have to talk because we need to. That is why I'm here today on Sunday, after the Sunday service and all that. On the weekend, I have to come out to talk to my fellow brothers and sisters in Biafra land to remind you. Sorry about that. Sorry about that. I just had a call, a distraction from a call. Thank you so much for your patience. You know, we continue to send the information and continue to do what we are supposed to do. No matter what the enemy is doing, no matter the distraction, the obstruction from all angles, from all corners, we will never relent in preaching the message and sending information across. We will continue to set the record straight and say it the way it is. And today I am here to remind every Biafran, wherever you are. As you are watching, please share the video. Share the video. Joe's Free World. Thank you so much for joining Free World. We have to continue to send this out, the information. It is very important. We are in a critical period. That is why we don't have to relent, no matter the attack, no matter the situation. You see, I did a program. There was a program I did today after my church service. I did a program, and when I was doing that program, some of you must have watched that very program on this page. Some of you must have watched the program I did today. I did that program in the church, and you see somebody who was speaking, and the way the person was speaking, you will know that we really have a lot of work to do. We still have to educate so many of our Biafrans. So many people are not getting it right. So many Biafrans are not still getting it right. They are still thinking that the Biafran struggle is a joke. Some are still taking the Biafran struggle as a dream. When we are talking about Biafra as a reality, they don't believe it. So many Biafrans, even people who claim to be Biafrans, they are not believing what we are saying. They don't believe that Biafra is going to come. So many people don't believe. So many Biafrans, they don't believe that Biafra is coming. Even when we are, those of us who are in the struggle, those of us who are seeing clearly, those of us who believe what we believe in Biafra. We know that it's coming. But so many of our brothers and sisters have not yet woken up. That is why it is necessary that we continue to speak certain things and say certain things that we say. If you go back and watch that program that I posted, I hosted that program in the church. It was after the church service I did that program with some people in the church. Then you hear the opinion of people, what somebody was saying. The very person that spoke first, you hear what he was saying. The kind of argument he's bringing on the table. Why he has to support the election. You see the kind of mindset some people have. Some of them already believe that Mazi Nnamdi Kanu will never be released. Mazi Nnamdi Kanu cannot come out. That Mazi Nnamdi Kanu we cannot be able to release him. That we should just forget about Mazi Nnamdi Kanu and continue to talk about election. This is the mindset of people. People who are claiming to be agitators. People who are claiming to be Biafrans. So many of them are already bowing out. So many of them, and when I see such kind of statement, when I hear people like that speak, I'll be wondering what kind of people we still have among us, that we still have a lot of work to do. We still have a lot of work to do. We still have a lot of broadcasting to do. The sermon of today that I'm bringing is to let you know that Biafra is not a dream, it's a reality. And we are not looking for a temporary freedom. We are looking for a permanent freedom. That is what we are looking for. We are looking for a permanent freedom. Something that is permanent, not temporary. Freedom is the only thing we are asking for. We are not asking for any other apart from our freedom. Some of them think we are just asking for the freedom of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. The freedom of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is the freedom of Biafra people. The freedom of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is the freedom of every single Biafra. And as long as Mazi Nnamdi Kanu remain in captivity, every Biafran is in captivity, whether you like it or not. You might think you are free because you are outside walking from places to places, eating the kind of food you want, jumping from one place to the other, changing your clothes and sleeping where you want to sleep and do that. But you are in prison. You are actually in prison. You are in detention. As they are holding Mazi Nnamdi Kanu out, they are holding you down. They are holding you down. You can only have a legitimate freedom when Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is free. If Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is not free, you are not free. As no nyele nketa we gote enwe na ife ntuku gara na bia. Ile nketa gote enwe ife ntuku gara na bia. When you sell the dog in your house and you buy a monkey, you still have an animal that is squatting in your house. And that is the obvious truth. If you think that Mazi Nnamdi Kanu remaining in detention is going to make you free, it's going to make you relevant, that is just, you are just deceiving yourself. You are absolutely deceiving yourself. The only thing that will make you to have a legitimate freedom, that can make me have a legitimate freedom, is when Mazi Nnamdi Kanu himself is free. And the freedom we are asking for, it is not a temporary freedom. We're not looking for a pat at the back. We are not looking for something that could those kind of temporary freedom, this kind of Nigerian independent kind of freedom. That is not the kind of freedom we are looking for. We are not looking for the kind of freedom that the Western world are giving to Africans. You see the French countries, the kind of freedom they are being given, and they are still slaves. They are still slaves, paying homage to France. The same thing, the kind of freedom that British give to the country, that is not the kind of freedom we are looking for. We are looking for a permanent freedom where we decide our fate, where we can be able to write our own constitution and decide what happens in our area, develop our own our nation in our own speed. That's the kind of freedom we are looking for. Within the space of the 3 years of Biafran war, the 3 years that Biafra existed, that 3 years, even in the harsh and difficult situation, you saw that our scientists, we are doing work, we are working. The scientists in Biafra land, we are manufacturing things, we are doing things. Within that space of 3 years, in a very critical situation, Biafrans were using their senses. Everybody was on duty. The judiciary was working. Teachers was working. The scientists, more especially, they were on duty working. They were working. With that short space of time, then can you imagine what we would have done if we have a complete independence and freedom to decide our fate and do what we want to do? That is the kind of freedom we are looking for. We are not looking for a freedom where some people will come and tell us that before we will come and bank our money in their country, and before we use it, we have to take permission. Or before somebody becomes a president in Biafra land, you have to travel to UK or travel to... That is not the kind of freedom we are looking for. That's not the kind of... We are not looking for a temporary freedom. That's not the kind of... We want a freedom where every human being in Biafra land will have equal rights. You will have the right to aspire for anything you want to aspire for. You have the right to develop to every land. Every child will have right to education. Every child will have right to education. If you want to engage in business, you engage in a legitimate business, and you will have an atmosphere that will permit you to engage in a legitimate business. Our scientists will be able to apply their brain and make use of their brain, and we can be able to use the things we have. Someone like Innocent and many other people that are like Innocent will come back home and begin to develop things, begin to manufacture things. We begin to use Biafran made goods. It is because we are still under occupation, because we don't have freedom. That is why we are still slaves. You think that because you are walking around, you're living abroad, you are flying, you enter flight, you go home, you come back, you think you are free. You are not free. You are not free. If you don't know that you are still a slave, for you to enter a flight, any part of the world where you are, you enter a flight and you will not land in your father's house. You must have to land in Abuja first, or you land in Lagos before you begin to move to your hometown. That should show you that you're not free. You're not free. Every state in Biafra land is supposed to have an international airport, so that when you are coming back home from abroad, you go back home to your hometown straight. You go back to your hometown. An airport taxi can take you within some minutes from the airport to your home. If you're shipping any good, you ship your goods to your own state. That is why it's that is the way it's happening in the Western world. In all the countries of Europe, when you enter their states, some states have more than one seaport. Some states have more than one seaport. And whatever you want to import, you bring it directly to your state. Generate wealth for your own state. Generate income for your own state. That is the kind of Biafra we are looking for. We are not looking for a Biafra where you claim to be a free person, meanwhile you are a slave. This time around, it is not, we are looking for a full freedom, not half-baked freedom. We don't want any half-baked freedom. We want a total freedom of Biafran people. We have to be free. We have to be free spiritually, free mentally, and free materially in every aspect of life. Complete freedom. So that just like this election is coming, if election is coming in Biafra land, anybody can come out and contest. You will not have to say because you don't have a godfather, you don't have a certain amount of money. People will have the opportunity to contest. Young people can compete. People will have a legitimate and healthy competition among themselves. This is the kind of nation we are dreaming of. Not this one they are building for you. Not a nation that is being built by cabals. A nation that makes sure built by criminals, terrorists. A nation that sponsors terrorists and makes sure that terrorists progress. A nation that cannot do anything on their own except they go abroad and take excuse. We don't want that kind of nation. We don't want that kind of a nation. You want a nation that can work. We have done it. For a space of 3 good years of war, 3 good years that Biafra existed, 3 good years that Biafra existed, we had our money, we had our currency, we had our national flag, we have our creed, we had everything that the country requires. And we didn't stop there. We are making invention. Our scientists were working day and night. We invented a lot of things. Within that space, 3 good years. 3 good years. Every single thing we use, we suspend ourselves. The refinery they are running around today begin to think of where to go and refine. We are refining our own oil. The oil we are using during the war. Biafrans, we are refining the oil by themselves. Just imagine if Biafra were on their own for that past almost 50-something years now. For so many years, 50 years plus. Half a decade. Half a century. 50 years plus. Can you imagine if Biafra, they survived within 3 years, they invented a lot of things, they entered into some nuclear inventions that people, even some countries up to today, cannot be able to achieve. What we achieved within that 3 years, the zoological republic called Nigeria have never achieved that thing. Since that very time after the Civil War to today, they have not achieved what we achieved within that 3 months. The invention Biafra made within that 3 years, the contraption called Nigeria can never ever equal to it up to today. You see why it is necessary that we have to move ahead. You see why it is necessary that we cannot continue to stand and mark time with these people who are not ready to develop. We don't have to continue marking time with them. We have to move on with our own life. We have to move on with our own life. You can take the horse to the river, but you cannot force the horse to drink the water. Just as Dr. Nnamdi Kanu did. Dr. Nnamdi Kanu will force these very people on us. Why he was supposed to go and get our own independence, or since they said they don't want independence, get your own independence and walk away. He was busy trying to please the North, trying to wait for the North. And look at where we are today. Instead of them now growing to match up or to have a healthy competition with us, they draw everybody back. They went ahead to put that very laziness, they put it on their constitution. They introduced the laziness of the northern part of Nigeria, they put in the constitution. Quota system. A system that makes an uneducated man to rule over an educated man. A system that makes it possible that a professor will be serving under somebody who doesn't have a WAEC result. Is that the system you want to be in? And when we say we are working out of that system, some people are still bent on remaining in that system. Even as you are watching this video, in the present people that are contesting, there are still so many of them who doesn't have that WAEC result. Presidential aspirant today, they still don't have that WAEC result. Most of them are giving excuses. Either they say their result got burnt or their result got lost, or they don't have their result. Nobody can say where they studied. And today, they are flag bearer of renowned party, leading party. Flag bearers, and they want to take power by all means possible. Campaigning seriously. After all, the money is in their hand. They are the richest. How do you think you can survive in this kind of a nation? How do you think you can survive? How can somebody who genuinely wants freedom have anything to do with the election? Election that you know that can never elect some people who will make your life better. Instead, they will elect people that make your life worse. And it doesn't matter how intelligent you are. As soon as you join Nigerian politics, you become a useless man. As soon as you join Nigerian politics, it renders you useless. It makes you a killer, renders you useless, makes you senseless, and make you heartless. That is what Nigerian politics makes people. It doesn't matter how good you think. It doesn't matter how educated you think you are. Once you join Nigerian politics, you become a clown. You can't reason normally anymore. That is why when I see people projecting P2P, I will laughing at them. They don't know what they are doing. They don't know what they are doing. But for us Biafrans, we are going home. We don't have anything to do with their so-called P2P. We don't have anything to do with him. He is not part of us. Even though he's a Biafran. But he's not part of us. He's working for the caliphate. Just they want to they want to use him to validate their criminality in Nigeria. And he that claims to be intelligent allowed himself to be used. He allowed himself to be used. He claimed to be intelligent. He claimed to know all things. He claimed to be experienced. But yet, he allowed himself to be used. Even when he knows that he cannot make any difference. And he knows that we are dealing with animals who don't care how you feel. They don't care how you feel. They don't care what you think. They don't care what you are doing. They don't care if you're seeing them when they are committing their crime. They don't even care if you are seeing them or not. They accused Jonathan of fraud during his own time. But today, the kind of fraud that is happening in that contract called Nigeria is fraud that is being celebrated. They do it openly. They don't care about it. A man you saw that drove a bullion van to his own compound during election time. A bullion van that was meant for a bank was driven to the house of a presidential aspirant during the election. And this very man they're talking has no business. Ask him what is his business. How did he make his money? How did he make so much money that he can afford to have a bullion van in his own home? A public servant. That's all we know him for. He's a public servant. What other business does he have? And how did he make the money? How did he make so much money that he can have a bullion van in his home? And people feel it's alright, it's okay. Look at the kind of stealing that is happening. They will steal on broad daylight and nobody does anything. The fraud is no longer hidden. They don't do it secretly. Formerly it was secret. They do it. They don't do it secretly. They don't even hide. They don't care what you feel or what you think. And when you see that you are dealing with animals, wicked soul like this, you still think you'll be laughing with them. You think you can go to ballot with them and win. How? How? They are the one that is going to count your result. They are the one that is going to transmit your result. They are the one that is going to show you the server. They are the one that is going to announce your result. And you think they will announce your result against themselves. You think all of a sudden they will call a result they favor you against themselves. You must be a joker. That means you don't know what the North are. The northern part of the Fulanis are not like the Southerners. Fulanis are not like Southerners. Fulanis are not like Southerners who say their blood doesn't, their ambition doesn't want the blood of anybody. Fulani can drink your blood because of his ambition. They don't care. And I used to tell people that Fulanis are ready to go to war instead of handing over to anybody. They are ready. But I thank you that we are prepared for them. We are prepared for them. Those people who are following P2B, who wants to go and make themselves a sacrificial lamb. Good for them. Good for them. Those that want to go and make themselves sacrificial lamb, good for them. Let them go ahead and continue to do that. After all of us must not fall for Biafra. And there will always be a casualty. When there's a struggle, there will always be a casualty. No matter what, there will always be. So if you decide to sell yourself out and you fall a victim, and one Nigeria happens to you, you blame yourself. You don't have anybody to blame. You don't have anybody. Those who are listening, who are paying attention today, they know that election will not hold in Biafra land. They know very well that there will be no election in Biafra land. It doesn't matter the propaganda, the blackmail. There will be no election in Biafra land. There will be none. And we have said it and we are speaking about it louder. It cannot be like an Anambra election. It cannot be like that or Anambra. And nobody will distract us. Even with the distraction you see United Nations bring it. United Nations coming all of a sudden to say they want Mazi Nnamdi Kanu to be released and that. Mazi Nnamdi Kanu was detained illegally for more than a year. They are just coming now to tell us that Mazi Nnamdi Kanu must be released. And they give 6 months. From now to 6 months, when will that be? And when is the election coming on? They just want to use Mazi Nnamdi Kanu to calm the election. And that is not, we are not interested in all that. We are not interested in that. If they genuinely want to say something, they should announce a referendum date for us. They should announce a referendum. It's the only referendum that is giving Mazi Nnamdi Kanu a genuine freedom. Give him that thing that he's asking for. Since you have now accepted that he's asking for a legitimate right, since the United Nations now believe and they know that Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is demanding for writing, what stops them from adding and telling Nigeria to conduct a referendum? Release Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, conduct a referendum, and forget your God-forsaken election. That is what they are supposed to do. Now they have accepted that Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is fighting a legitimate cause. That Mazi Nnamdi Kanu has not committed any crime. It is his own right to demand for referendum. It is his own right to call for self-determination. So why don't you go ahead to tell them to, instead of talking about election, conduct a referendum. Let people decide where they want to be. Then after the decision, you can now conduct the election. That is the right step in the right direction. But they're not going to do it. All they are doing today is to distract you and I, to distract us. Already you see some people getting distracted. You see some people getting distracted. Hey, don't do this, don't do that. If you do that now, the United Nations will not talk again. If you do that, who told you? Have they been talking? Where have they been? Oh, do this. If you don't do this, if you do this now, United Nations is not going to talk again. This is the kind of people we see. This is the kind of things we see. If you want to join the platform, please keep your phone this way. If you keep your phone this way, then you click your rotation. Click your rotation, you keep your phone this way. That is the only way you can join. If you don't keep your phone in a horizontal form, you cannot be able to join. Keep your phone in a horizontal form and then click your rotation. That is where you can join. I will bring you in. So as I was saying, whatever distraction you are seeing from any angle, from any corner, is just a distraction. You don't have to take them serious. These are a bunch of clowns, are people who want to confuse us and destroy us. Obinna Solomon, let me bring you in. Try to create distraction from all angles. Even if I'm not hoping on any UN to give me freedom or whatever. I fight for my freedom. I follow what I believe in and I pursue it. That is what I do. It doesn't matter what you think. It doesn't matter what you believe. You are free to believe anything you want to believe. Just like those of us who are genuine followers of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. Those of us who are genuine followers of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, who are on the autopilot movement that is pursuing the agenda of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. You cannot distract us with your blackmail, with your cheap target and your cheap ideas and your cheap weapons. No, you can't distract us with that. You just want to throw to us. You throw that your so-called speech that Mazi Nnamdi Kanu should be released in 6 months. And so what? And when you say that, is it today that Mazi Nnamdi Kanu was kidnapped? After one good year, more than a year, Mazi Nnamdi Kanu have been kidnapped, facing torture. And why do you just have to say it? Why don't you issue a sanction immediately? Why don't you issue a sanction? Why do you have to wait for so long? Why do you have to prolong it and wait for such a long time before you begin to say whatever you want to say? If you are genuine, you have to come up with a sanction immediately. Not to come and distract Biafrans the time that we are marching. We are going to march. It doesn't matter whatever they say or they do. We are going to march. The only man that is going to change the situation now is Mazi Nnamdi Kanu himself. When Mazi Nnamdi comes out to give us a tangible reason why we must stop what we are doing, then We have no choice.
Are yet to wake up from your slumber or your sleep and get the point that we are exiting Nigeria. Exiting Nigeria is not going to come from the platter of golden plate. You have to sacrifice for it. And we are ready to sacrifice everything, including you, if you come and stand in the way of freedom. So you need to know how serious we are. We are damn serious. Some of you are not getting it. You think we are here to build political movement? We are here for freedom. Freedom comes with price. Okay? The only thing you can do is to comment on social media. Don't ever stand on the way of Biafra freedom. We'll crush you.
Their interest is suppressed. Biafra is the key. Once they can hold Biafra down, they can hold the whole of Africa down. Hey, freedom fighting, sorry. Because all these people are criminals. They are saying there is no way this man cannot be a criminal like themselves. They don't have a different breed altogether. They don't know that. I am Nnamdi Kanu. I don't do all this nonsense you do. My father was a very rich man, not ostentatious. I had the finest education that his money could afford. We are not poor. Have never been. That is why a poor man cannot be a freedom fighter. If you're not full of yourself, you cannot be a freedom fighter. You have to go everywhere. We must continue.